firstly, we learned this week that Prince Harry, when he was over for the Invictus Games ceremony, he didn't want to stay in a royal residence that was offered to him by the King because he didn't feel he had enough protection there. Does that make any sense to you? We've both been in palaces and royal residences. They're pretty safe, aren't they? What's going on here with Harry?
Well,
how can he make that claim?
They're protected by armed policemen, every one of them, and no exceptions. Unless you've got the right pass, no one can get in there. Now, you know, it's been known that people have climbed over the wall of Buckingham Palace, but they're pretty soon apprehended. Recently, there was someone who turned up with a crossbow at Windsor Castle, but he was quickly arrested. So, no, I think that was a poor excuse. I think he wanted to stay in a hotel, and he was determined to do that. And don't forget, he travels with a small retinue of bodyguards as well. And so I suspect that was the reason why he did it. He had his own protection, and he felt that was enough.
Well, the stories are changing, aren't they? So, famously, you know, they put a statement out saying that he wouldn't be able to see the King because the King was too busy. Now it emerges the King actually said, you can stay in one of our palaces if you want, and that means that me and you can have a bit of time to hang out. Now all of a sudden he's saying, well, I didn't want to stay there because I didn't feel safe. I mean, it just doesn't add up,
No,
does it?
it doesn't. And this is the story of Harry, though, you know, ever since he decided to leave the royal family and go his own way in the United States. And he's just behaving, I think, sometimes appallingly. Certainly some of the things he said about members of the royal family, certainly, and Camilla and Catherine and his brother. I think you just don't do that with families. You know, your families are the most important thing in your life, and you just do everything to keep the family together and at peace. And I imagine the King's sort of unhappy with Harry being around people where he could learn stories and hear gossip and then put it in either his next book or his next podcast or his next radio or TV interview, and it looks like he's well informed. But of course, you know, the King felt very upset with that last thing Harry did, the book, especially what he said about his lovely wife Camilla. You know, because I mean they're a very loved up couple, and you know, to offend our Queen like he did in that book, you know, it really upset the King. And you know, I don't think he could easily forgive that. And I imagine the King's had strong words with him over it. Probably the reason why he didn't want to go and stay with him, because he probably would get another lot.
But it might not only be the King that didn't want Harry staying in a royal residence.
Well, you know, I think if you're referring to his brother, well, you know, I think that's going to take an awful lot of peacemaking for that feud to end, because William's pretty angry about that, and he doesn't seem to care who he tells about that. You know, he feels that you know, his brother, well, just referring in that opera, well, Meghan as well, referring to that Oprah Winfrey interview about, you know, the royals are racist in many ways because they questioned the colour of Archie's skin. Well, I mean, you know, I've talked to people with mixed race, and they say, well, that's a normal conversation you have when you're expecting your first child.
And they've gone back on that as well.
Well, now they have, yeah. But you know, then he quickly said, oh, it wasn't the Duke of Edinburgh or the Queen that said it. And then, you know, and at a later date, the Queen put out a statement saying, you know, our recollections vary. Well, I imagine, you know, most people will realise that was just the Queen saying, look, we don't believe anything you say, you know. So. In my view, Harry, if he comes here, fine, he's welcome here. Obviously, he's a prince of the realm, although he's decided to keep the title but not do any work. I don't think he's entitled to stay in a royal palace. I think he, you know, book into a hotel at any time. But you know, he's not putting. Look, you know, to be a member of the royal family in this country is a huge job. You're on show, you're in this electronic goldfish bowl all the time, people watching you, watching everything you do, everything you say, and a lot of responsibility that carries. And he didn't want that anymore. He wanted to go. I don't know why he went, because he was so popular here. I remember working with him. He was fantastic. He was just amazing. He was, especially with children, he was absolutely brilliant. And I travelled the world with him, and I did really enjoy working with him. But, you know, now I really don't care if I ever see him again, because the way he's behaved towards the King and our Queen and his brother and his sister-in-law is appalling. And I just feel that it's about time he realised that. And you know, he can't come and stay in palaces. You know, he was, though the king, I mean, the king still loves him, and he would love him to come back and work for the family, but not as long as he's not going to write stories about it. And I think while that situation's still ongoing, I think that nothing's going to change.
Well, what my understanding is that Harry didn't want to stay in the palace, or this royal residence that was offered, because it was in a visible location with public entrance and exit points with no police protection. Now, I can tell you that he actually stayed when he was over here at the Coworth Park Hotel, which we know. The Coworth Park Hotel, which is a short drive from Windsor Castle. It's just off Crown Estates land. It's just off Windsor Great Park. But it's where Harry and William stayed the night before Harry's wedding to Meghan. I mean, it's something that they know, but it's a 5-star hotel. It's palatial. It's a really nice place. You know, I can't afford to stay there. I think it's like £500-600 a night or something like that. But that's where he stayed, as opposed to a royal residence. I mean, we're not security experts. Does that make sense to you that you turned down a palace?
It seems a lame excuse, personally. I mean, you know.
Why would a prince born into the world's most secure castles refuse to stay in a palace, especially when even the king offers him shelter? That's just the latest twist in Prince Harry's never-ending royal saga. While official statements blame security fears, insiders whisper about family secrets, deep rifts, and a level of mistrust that no armored gate can shield. Imagine walking the marble halls of Buckingham Palace, surrounded by armed guards, yet feeling more vulnerable than ever. Is this really about personal safety, or is there something the royals desperately don't want Prince Harry to hear or reveal? As Harry squares off with the monarchy and the press goes wild, the stakes for Britain's most famous family have never been higher. What's truly driving the prince to distance himself, and who's telling the truth? Stay tuned, because the full story behind these palace walls might just shock everyone.
Royal palaces are fortresses. You know, everything's protected. I mean, Balmoral. I mean, they're just. I mean, it's just so protected, and they're so proud of that. The Metropolitan Police, you know, that what they do. And you know, from when the king goes up to Balmoral, the Metropolitan Police go up there with him. I mean, you know, they do long duties up there. So, no, it's a fact that they are safe. He just preferred the hotel, in my view.
Don't go anywhere, because we have plenty more coming up in the rest of the show.
I thought to myself, you know, this is all showbiz rubbish. The whole thing was just stage managed to suit them.
Me and you have been working together for like 4 or 5 years, but you're celebrating a bit of an anniversary this year, aren't you?
Well, I've done 50 years on the paper.
It's your golden anniversary.
Well, you could call it that. I like to think it long service. I'm quite proud of that fact, actually, because, you know, I've been working for Mr. Murdoch for all these years, and, you know, he's a good employer, and he's always been very fair with me. And I feel this is a great paper, you know, and we're pretty quick with the news. We're pretty quick with the royal news, I mean, and great exclusives. Thanks a lot to you, Matt. I mean, you've been doing brilliantly since you've joined the royal reporting team, and it's been enjoyable. But I think we're going to not do too much in the near future with this.
Well, exactly. So
election,
the king. You must have seen many prime ministers and stuff with the Queen back in, you know, when she was around. But so Sunak has called an election. July the 4th, we finally know, but he had to go to speak to the king to tell him that he was to dissolve Parliament at some stage and that he was going to hold a general election. Is this a big moment for the king? Do you think this is his first general election as monarch? He's going to have lots of constitutional roles. He's going to take up a lot of his time and attention.
It is, but, you know, I mean, he said farewell to Liz Truss. He said he's going to probably say farewell to Mr. Sunak, and probably welcome a new Prime Minister, and all in 2 years. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But the thing is, with a general election, you know, everything of importance that would sort of outshine reporting on the election gets cancelled. And I imagine the King was pretty cross about that, because, you know, he's just come back from a long illness. I mean, we didn't see him for months. And he's been really putting a big shift in, you know. I mean, he's working every day this week. And because of now the election, you know, a lot of it's going to be cancelled. I hope some of the big events go ahead. I hope that, you know, we get to Normandy with him and Trooping the Colour, you know, the big events in London, his official birthday. But you know, the election is important, and it will and should do supersede everything. It's a big moment for the country. In democracy, it is the most important thing that we can change the government anytime we feel it they're not doing the job for us, and the king will accept that. You know, he knows that's part of his duty. That you know, he's head of state, but the prime minister is the elected head of the government, and that's more important. So, you know, we'll probably be kicking our heels for a bit, but you know, imagine when the election's over, we'll be run off our feet with every single day. But he is, you know, the king is very interested in the running of the country. I imagine every day they have their weekly meeting with the prime minister. Now they're all it's very private, and no one ever knows what's said. But imagine having worked with Prince Charles, and for over 40 years, he's very interested in. I think he's very much a socialist in my view. You know, he's very interested in the benefit, you know, helping the less well off, and you know, lots of these things he's done over mostly unheralded and unheard of. You know, and he would make sure that he gets his points of view to the prime minister. Now, be a stupid prime minister in my view didn't listen to him, because he's a very wise man and very much a visionary. I can remember, you know, him talking about organic food, and people called him a crank, and now you can't move in supermarkets for organic food. I can remember him talking about poor architecture, and the architects condemned him. But go and look at Paternoster Square now. It's beautiful, and also the king is not frightened to speak out. He does his research. He gets his facts in order, and he says it, and he's not frightened of the criticism. And he's an amazing man, but he's going to be doing like most of us, just watching party political broadcasts on the television. But you know, having said that, it's only for 6 weeks, and that's not a lifetime, and it'll be back to normal soon.
Well, it might help him, really, because he set off at such a huge pace after the doctors said that, you know, he was OK to kind of return to work. But there was a sense of frustration, I think, wasn't there, with the king earlier this year, that his reign had kind of been interrupted while he was dealing with his cancer treatment. I think he was happy. He said the other day he was glad to be out of his cage. On an engagement, you know, now he has to go back into the cage a couple of weeks. But we still should get him at Trooping, Royal Ascot. These things will be great. But it'll just be as you pointed out, will just be, you know, some of not the more mundane, but some more of that may be veering into kind of political areas, or might be, you know, a little bit vulnerable to be talking about, you know, major political issues and stuff like that.
Yeah, I also think our Queen, Camilla, will be relieved, because I was with her last week in Rye in Sussex, and she said, you know, she asked me how I was. I said, fine, ma'am. I said, you know, I'm pleased that the king's getting well. She said, yes. She said, if only he'd do what he was told, you know. So, you know, really, she probably, you know, wants him to slow down a wee bit. But no, he's, you know, I saw him this week at the Chelsea Flower Show, and he looked amazingly well, you know. So and in fact, he's raring to go, but I should imagine he's still got to take it easy. You know, he's got to pace himself. How could me telling him to pace himself?
Stay tuned. There's loads more to come in the rest of the show.
Done some really lovely royal weddings. I did both King Charles's weddings. I did William's wedding. I did Andrew's wedding. I did Sophie and Edward. You know, I mean, they were lovely occasions, but that day I couldn't get out of Windsor quick enough.
These 6 weeks, as I say, where the royals will have to slow down, sadly, and not do as many engagements, is probably not the right time, even if there is a right time, for the Princess of Wales to to come back. She's still at home. There's been loads more. The usual suspects have been going online and making up nonsense. I can say she is at home. She is still recovering. She's still kind of obeying doctor's orders. But there's absolutely no need to rush her back, particularly as everything's going to be about the election at the moment.
I think she'll come back when the doctors say so, and then the 6 weeks will probably be a welcome relief to her that she's no pressure.
The drama between Prince Harry and the royal family doesn't play out behind closed doors. It explodes across the front pages. Every statement, every snub, sends shockwaves through the media and fuels an endless cycle of hot takes, memes, and viral commentary. In Britain especially, the reaction has been fierce. Some praise Harry for breaking tradition and speaking his truth. Others accuse him of betraying his birthright and turning private pain into public spectacle. The press has seized on every twist, harshly dissecting Harry's claims, tracking royal movements, and spinning new theories each time the palace changes its tune. Social media erupts with each development, with hashtags trending worldwide and armchair experts debating every detail. Meanwhile, old-school royalists gripe about airing dirty laundry, while younger audiences question if the monarchy can survive this level of scrutiny in the digital age. All of this has left Harry and Meghan in a strange limbo. Their popularity in the UK has taken a serious hit, with surveys showing support dropping after each controversy. In the US, the couple still finds sympathy, but the constant headlines have eroded some of the initial goodwill. The royals, for their part, remain officially silent, clinging to the old motto, never complain, never explain. But the silence only adds fuel to the rumor mill. As public opinion seesaws and coverage grows ever more sensational, one thing becomes crystal clear. The story isn't dying down. If anything, it's just gaining momentum. And next, the personal cost of this royal spectacle comes into focus.
We did hear from people who've been working with her this week, because a year ago she set up this Centre for Early Childhood and set up a task force to kind of look into ways to kind of get businesses involved to kind of really help and use the science to kind of help children ages between 0 and 5. There was a briefing this week because they announced their first report. It was a 60-page report saying that if they put these proposals into place, they could £45 billion back into the government coffers. But we were told that not only had the Princess of Wales read the report, she was the driving force behind it, and she was excited by all the proposals that come out. Bearing in mind that we know that that she is unwell and she's recovering, is this the Princess of Wales that who's still working behind the scenes and getting involved in her big projects? Is this what we should expect of her?
Imagine, like the King, when getting treatment, he was still working on his boxes and stuff. I imagine she's doing the same. I imagine she has her staff, planning things and events and also projects that she's heavily involved in. So imagine, even though we're not seeing her, she's not making public appearances, I imagine she's still pretty busy doing that. And and I think she's just an incredible woman in my view. She not only a mother and rearing 3 beautiful children, she's a great member of the royal family. She's a hard-working member of the royal family. She's a great photographer, I have to say that. I must say her pictures get better and better, and she shares them with us all. And she's just a huge star in the royal family. I mean, there's no secret that she is the biggest star of them all. And she's obviously recovering, and when the doctors say you can get back and go out there and engage with the public again. I mean, the thing is they can't engage with the public because of infection, that's the problem. So it's not like she wouldn't want to, it's just she's ordered not to. And so look, the King, we had to wait patiently for the King, and he made his return and he's back working back to normal. And let's just see, it won't be long before I think we'll see Catherine again. But this 6-week break now will be good for her, I think. It was a shame that they are short-handed at the moment. Although I did see Beatrice and Eugenie this week at a garden party supporting William, which I thought was quite nice, actually. I mean, they're lovely, lovely girls, those. I've known those since they were children, since they were come out of the hospital in their mother's arms. They are just super girls, and that was a great support. And then I saw Zara Phillips there as well. You know, so remember some of these younger members could get involved in, well, for instance, the garden party. I mean, William took that on himself. I think the king was due to be there, and he had to cancel for some reason. And their girls came along, and you know, and we don't think they're important, but they are. I mean, they are granddaughters of the late Queen, and they are nieces of the King, and they have a role to fulfil. You know, maybe not in the front line, maybe not, you know, out there, but, you know, supporting members of the royal family, like the garden parties, you know, and they'll be at Ascot. I'm sure they're sorting their dresses out for it at the very moment, and they'll be there for that. And, you know, and they are nice. They're really hardworking, very caring girls. I mean, usually, I mean, she's an amazing lady. I mean, can't say she did me a personal favour once with help she did. She gave me. I mean, she is a lovely person. So that was interesting. And of course, William. I mean, William is just taken on a massive amount. You know, you know, without Catherine, but as always, he'll probably be a little relieved that he's had a little break now.
So as you say, William invited the other members of the royal family. So he invited Beatrice, Eugenie, Mike and Zara Tyndall, and Peter Phillips to the garden party. And as you were saying there, it's just really nice to actually remember them again. Do you know what I mean?
Also, they're family. They're his cousins. You know, they're all his cousins. They're all cousins. They're all family. And you do, and I just think it's a lovely thing. I just think it's a really nice thing. And
do we need to see more of them, Arthur?
I would like to see more of Beatrice and Eugenie. Yeah, I do.
Working royals, or
Royal drama rarely fades quietly, and the saga of Prince Harry versus the palace is proof of just how deep those wounds can run. As high-stakes lawsuits, bitter arguments, and public confessions keep headlines spinning, what's left behind is a fractured family, one where trust is precious and every move is watched around the world. For Harry, the quest for safety and belonging has led to new dangers and growing distance. For the monarchy, the cost of silence and tradition grows heavier with every revelation. As the dust settles, one question lingers. Can the bonds of blood survive the storm, or is this the start of a royal split that can never be undone? Leave your thoughts below. Which side of the feud do you believe? And stay tuned, because there's no telling what tomorrow's headlines might reveal about the world's most famous family.